Hello, welcome back to Scene by Few with Nick and Lance.
Hi.
As we continue our Gargoyle adventure through season 2, episode 21, I believe we're up to now. I think something I should have checked beforehand. Yeah, 21, 22, 23, and 24.
Avalon.
Yeah, so we'll do Avalon, part 1, 2, and 3 as kind of, we'll talk about that as one episode, because it essentially is. And then we'll talk about Shadows of the Past after that as its own separate thing. So if you've not been here before, we tend to spoil the episodes themselves and maybe like little tidbits about what's coming down the line. Mm-hmm. Nothing like super groundbreaking, like, oh my god, you know, Luke, I am your father. None of that shit. But enough that, you know, just be warned that if you've never, ever seen the show before, maybe there's a tidbit of information you don't want. We're not getting into the comics or anything like that. I just wanted to have Angela up in the center, just because, for reasons. Imagine that.
And the next episode will be Mona, and then Samantha. All right, I'll stop.
I don't even know what you're referring to.
There's going to be hardly anyone that's going to know what that's referring to, and I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
Put it down in the comments if you know what I'm trying to say.
All right, so Avalon, what would you rate this little 3-parter if you were to give it one score from 0 to 10?
I would give this a 8.
Oh, okay. That's a little conservative. I went with a 7.
All right. How about you, Nick?
I think I am also going to give it an 8. Like, I think the first episode was a 7, followed by 2 8s, so that kind of tips it up to an 8.
Okay. All right. I guess 9, so I was a little off.
Yeah, that's good.
But, okay. And then do we want to go ahead and just rate the other one, or just talk about Avalon first?
We'll talk about Avalon first.
Well, should we rate it so if people don't, have to sit around and wait for us to finish talking?
I mean, we can if you want.
No, let's just do it. We'll get the ratings out of the way so people they don't have to stick around.
What would you give Shadows of the Past then?
I would give Shadows of the Past a 9.
Okay, I was again 1 off.
Okay. How about you?
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay. 1 off.
Because again, that one's good, but we'll get to it. So, spoilers. It's on Disney Plus. The episode numbers we're giving it is as per Disney Plus. Just gotta think that's a little bit easier for people to watch rather than having to break out the DVD and go from it that way. So, if you got Disney Plus, you can kind of keep up with us and maybe even get ahead and kind of come back and watch these again as we talk about it.
And we do them 4 episodes at a time. So if you wanted to get out ahead of us, so you didn't.
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah.
Don't wait for us.
Do you, boo?
Yeah. You know your schedule better than us. All right, so Avalon. This is one I was kind of looking forward to getting to because it's the Avalon little episodes themselves. They're all right. Mm-hmm. I'm not like in love with them or anything like that, but I think it's kind of interesting that we essentially get a time loop. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, that's time travel is always a little wonky in properties, and in this one, the Archmage kind of creates himself.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of like his future self saves his past self. And then kind of tells the Weird Sisters how to set himself up, but he can't just go get the items himself.
So
he has to have been handed them from someone in the actual time stream, as it were.
So here's the problem I have with that. Mm-hmm. Is that how do you save yourself in the past if you just died in the past?
It's the way I think it's time travel. At some point in time, it must have started, or it's just always been that way. Because it makes me think of the Futurama episodes, in which Fry is his own grandfather.
Yes, but
that would be a loop. Like he was his own grandfather, which means he's responsible for his own creation, which means it can't exist. It's a loop that kind of started itself. It's the Ouroboros eating its own tail. How does it start? It didn't start. It's always been. And it's just that kind of thing about time travel that I would never write a time travel story because it all just kind of gets super weird. And how do you make it work and make sense? And you kind of can't.
So I would disagree a little bit with the Futurama thing because it's still semen hitting an egg and producing a person.
But his.
Right.
He is his father's father.
I get it.
But and his father made him, he made his father.
Yeah, it's a little fucky.
It's a loop. It's just another loop.
But like what I'm saying about this is that if I fell off a cliff
Yes.
and then I was there to save myself from falling off the cliff, I'm dying there at the cliff because there was no me that got away from that to
Right.
go.
It's
Well, I mean, it's dumb.
it's weird.
It's dumb, but like if it was like a Phoenix Gate thing where like he used the Phoenix Gate to move through time, which he did to save himself.
Yep.
Man, I guess that's where it would be.
Yeah. He was the reason his future self had the Phoenix Gate, but he had to tell his past self how to acquire the items so that he could go back in time to save himself. It's weird. Like, time travel is just you're always going to get some little weirdness that doesn't make sense with time travel.
Yeah, we still don't understand it completely.
It's because it doesn't work. You can go forward in time. That's it.
Well, any of the storylines
and the relative nature at which you go forward through time can waver.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically you could go back in time if you wanted to, but you just can't fuck with anything. You can't let yourself see yourself.
I don't know that it would be physically possible, like in actuality, go back in time. And there's been a few properties that do time travel that make more sense to me. Like, did you watch Dragon Ball Z or whatever?
Yes.
Where Trunks goes back in time, but really he goes back to an alternate dimension that was further back in the timeline, so that he's not changing the past. He's going to another timeline and changing their future, but when he goes back to his own future, it's still the same one that he was at before. So that you're not actually meddling with the past. You can't meddle with the past. You're just going somewhere and creating like an offshoot timeline that's not actually your timeline.
What I'm wondering is they say that time moves slower, like near black holes and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I wonder if it would be possible if you got into a ship, got to the edge of a black hole where time slowed down, and then this time would basically go shooting past you, therefore pushing you into the past.
So when you go near the speed of light, you're actually going super fast in comparison. Time is moving relatively slow for you. So if you were to get in your ship and do like a couple trips around the Earth at light speed, by the time you arrived back, or I guess near light speed as you can, you'd be in the future. You can't do the same thing and go in the past. It goes forward in time.
Okay. I don't know. It just, I'm sure as we know more about our world and our universe and stuff like that, we'll figure stuff out. But the fact that I haven't walked through that door right now going, wait, have a kid sooner so you're not having a kid at like 50.
Or like, my back.
Yeah, you're not having like a 3-year-old when you're 50. Like, that hasn't happened yet. Or like, I haven't walked up to me in public going, hey, if you, don't buy so many collectibles, then maybe you wouldn't be in such crippling debt. Please contribute to our Patreon.
But look at our collectibles now.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
So it's just weird.
Yeah,
is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's weird. But,
and that's kind of the rough buy-in for the show. But once you kind of get into it, like this episode is kind of fun. It kind of shows why the weird sisters were fucking with Demoda and Macbeth. And it mostly seems to be like, hey, these assholes banished us from Avalon, so we're going to fuck with these people so we can go back and get them.
Oh, the only thing that I didn't like about this episode was the Archmagus was just like, you can go and do whatever you want to in Avalon, but, there are people there. And he's like, oh, we got to kill them.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he found out who the people were, he was like, oh, I've got a red hot boner to kill these people now. Well, it's just, just leave him the fuck alone.
He's just a villain.
Yeah.
It's like we need a place to launch our assaults. How about a place where time moves slower?
And he did, and he almost pulled it off.
Yeah.
I want to point out, so upon watching this episode, I thought it was interesting as soon as the Archmagus started talking, because I was like, I know that voice.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I don't know if a lot of people are going to know this actor, but I knew him instantly. So his name is David Warner.
Okay.
Do you know the face?
He's a little bit older in that picture, so I don't know if I'd place him.
So David Warner, he is essentially kind of that guy, but the one that you would probably know him best was in Tron, the original Tron. He was the big bad.
No, I've not seen Tron.
Yeah, he was the guy that was like Ed Dillinger, but he was also like the big bad within the system. And I think that was one of his big claim to fame. And then he has a lot of that guy roles. He has got a very distinctive voice. Super distinctive voice. And I'm sure if I ran down his entire catalog, apparently he's a guy named Professor Griswold in Doctor Who.
I don't know enough. I don't remember enough about Doctor Who for any of that.
It seems like it is the Peter Capaldi season.
I didn't watch that then.
Oh, never mind. They're putting all of them in here for this particular one. But anyways, yeah, he's got a very distinctive voice. As soon as he started talking, I was like, "That's that fucking guy," which I thought was interesting. And then apparently Angela's voice is this adorable little lady named Brigitte Bako.
I'm not. She's not one that was ever really as familiar with, because mainly like back when I was young, and I watched these shows, I tended to get the first season and the first half of the second season, and that's kind of like when either they changed time slots or something like that, or we moved or something weird happened, and I kind of lost track of it. So I missed most of this because we're kind of edging into the second half of season 2. We're kind of like. Season 1 was kind of like we're in New York doing our thing, and then at the end of it we go to Avalon and have this little adventure, and then you find out at the end of it like Avalon doesn't take you where you want to go, it takes you where you need to be. Then they go on their global globetrotting adventure.
I see. I didn't remember about this, and I honestly it kind of disappoints me because I want to see more Hudson. I want to see more Lexington. You know,
You've pretty much got the 4 there that you're going to see for a while.
See, I'm not cool with that. But I'm fine with it. But I want to go back to the show I wanted to watch.
Yeah. It's you're kind of they're building out the world a little bit. So it's kind of like, let's go see what's going on here. Let's go see what's going on here. And hey, look, there's packs of stuff going on here, and so forth, and kind of. I don't know, just kind of showing you what the world could be.
You know, they had basically they're time copying their past.
Well, they're not going to the past. They're just visiting the world as it is.
All right. Well, they're definitely going back to Scotland in the one, but we're not talking about that episode just yet.
So Avalon. So you find out about the Weird Sisters are kind of doing all this because the princess and the Magus and stuff showed up on their island, and I guess in so failing their job, like Oberon would be like, it's got that automatic thing of like, hey, you let people in, you're banished.
I'm starting to think they're not good guys.
No, they're the Fae. The Fae are always kind of like their own separate thing. Like
they're kind of dicks.
Yes.
You know, but I'm starting like I thought that maybe that they were because they were the Fates that they were just like, oh, you know, we're showing up because there are certain things that need to kind of happen the way that they need to happen. But now I'm starting to think they're dicks.
Yep.
So
I think all the Fae are just kind of assholes in some way. Because it's just kind of the tricksters, or they're just kind of out for their own sort of thing.
They're Eternals.
It's you live forever. What do you do?
Yeah, they're Eternals when we look like toys, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I really dug this 3-part series. Gargoyles it seems like the show is masterful at like no throwaway anything. Like they round back on everything.
Oh yeah, they bring back Tom and his mom and all that sort of stuff.
I thought that was great. Like when he showed up the first time in New York City wearing the Gargoyles armor, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And then you find out it's Tom, and I was like, fucking who? Yeah. And then you find out it was the kid that was like all about the Gargoyles back in the day. And then you find out that the Magus and the princess, they upheld their fucking word and did what they said they were going to do, which I thought was totally fucking cool. Yeah. Because they did owe Goliath. Yeah. Big time.
Yeah. Well, to the point where like she was going to be in a kingdom and like of her cousin and her uncle or whatever, and like some coup's going on there, and she's like, fuck this, I'm out. And then I don't remember if we ever hear any more about that plotline, but essentially you've got like this kingdom overthrown, and she just dips, and okay, we're done with that.
Good for her. Yeah. But I mean, but what I did think was weird was they started doing the whole thing where it's like Tom started growing up, and then it was the princess and Tom, where almost they seemed like they were like almost like husband and wife, and then she just kind of forgets about.
That's the thing. Like after, I think Magus was super friend zoned because at the end of it, he's kind of like, I lost my girl more. I'm nothing special. I'm just kind of got that sort of like, eh. And then because I imagine the princess is probably like 16, 18, something like that. She's not that old. And then you look at Tom, he's probably, 10? So there's an 8-year difference. I mean, when you're 8 and 16 or whatever, that's a lot. But then you add 41 years or whatever, and it's not that big of a difference anymore.
Yeah, I guess. It's just, I felt bad for Megas.
Oh, yeah.
You could tell he's in love with her since the first episode. You know, like, and that sucks that he got super friend zoned, but, you know, whatever.
I think he was just super down on himself, too, or whatever. Like, I used to be something, now I'm nothing. We're here because of me. If I hadn't turned into stone, maybe something else things would have been different or something like that. It's kind of all his fault, and he's just kind of wallowing in self-pity or something.
They would have got killed in the blood war between their family, because it seems like there's always somebody backstabbing somebody in these fucking shows.
Well, that's also welcome to medieval politics.
True. I can't argue that. I've seen Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So I guess all that happened in 995, and we're up to 1995. And I did the math. It would be they were there for 41 years and 8 months.
Jalapeno.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I also kind of. What do you think? They said it's always summer there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you get? Like 10 hours a night in the summer. Not quite 12.
Okay.
Which puts Angela at like almost 18. Because they don't age when they're stone. So she is not 42 per se.
Interesting.
And that's not even accounting for, I don't know how long it takes for an egg to hatch. So she might be 16. She might be up to 18, 20, somewhere in that range.
So they don't age when they're stone?
No, that's why when you look at like the Demona storyline when we were following the Hunter's Moon or whatever it was called, why like Demona's been alive for so long is because she only ages during the night.
Interesting. I guess I never really made that connection. I just thought they had like super long lifespans.
Which I guess could be a thing too. They've lived longer than humans, and I've always connected it to the fact that they're alive half the amount of time.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. If you beat one of them with a mace during the day, and then they just turn like to a stone, like broken statue. It's not like you knock the head off and there's like blood bits in the middle of the neck area and stuff. So that makes sense. But I have a feeling that's just like a gargoyle secret. I don't think anyone's ever going to commit one way or the other on what it really is.
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's ever been. I'm not as into like kind of the I don't know, the offline world where you just kind of like, or the community-ness of it. I tend to be very bad at joining communities and kind of like bouncing off each other and like, oh, we thought of this, and I just kind of keep to myself and don't join communities very often.
I get it. No, believe me, I get it.
So they're my own theories, I guess.
I'm a very social person, but like you reach too far into the community and you start getting some really weird shit.
It's not even necessarily that. It's just I'm bad at keeping up with people sometimes. I think like with Gaming Lawyer and some of the other people I've shown you, that's like the most I've ever been in a community.
All right. That guy's nice, by the way.
He is. And if he's watching this, which he probably isn't. Good on you.
Yeah. We love you, guy. You do good stuff. It's... I really like the Avalon series. I thought it was really good. The animation was decent.
It was okay, yeah.
Them fighting the sand versions of him, I thought was, that looked pretty good.
That was fun.
I liked Angela, the introduction of her. I thought some stuff was weird. Like apparently there was the jumping off stone where they're up on the castle walls and they go, and like they all kind of ran down the wall to go to a specific stone that each of them jumped off of, which I thought was like, I guess that's just the jumping off stone, I guess. And then they did the whole thing where it's like, when they jumped off, even though the courtyard wasn't that far below where it was, they did the circle thing and like the dramatic gliding music as they kind of flew down. I was like, okay, sure, why not? I liked her, what seemed like be her like rookery mate.
Oh, Gabriel?
Yeah, I dug the way he looked. I dug away the way that a lot of the gargoyles in that time looked.
Yeah, they had the female one that had like the stegosaur or the triceratops sort of.
Yeah, she looked cool.
That was neat. You had Boudica, which was the other Bronx-looking dog one.
And it had a tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like little hair tendril thingies or whatever they were.
It looked great. I liked the new gargoyles. I don't know if we ever get to see them again.
A little bit.
Okay, good. Because I really liked Gabriel. The wing mutilation in this episode was over the top.
A bunch of shots to the wings. And
yeah. It was bad. It was real bad.
Oh, yeah. Like people getting shot in the wings, like Demona kicking I think Gabriel in the wing again, and he's like, my wing again. Stop kicking my wing.
Would you stop? I don't know. It's like almost if somebody got a finger blown off and then everyone kept punching the stump of it.
It's like, you kicked the tip.
I noticed there was a lot of wing mutilation this episode. But yeah, the kickoff episode was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one I gave a 7, because learning about, what's her name, Catherine's past or whatever, Caitlin's, like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But then kind of moving on, like the Tom stuff is interesting, and then moving on to actually Avalon itself, and kind of, I think the next one was kind of like following, like, here's how the Archmage kind of created himself. Mm-hmm. And kind of you learn that, like, finally Goliath, and like, he's got the Phoenix Gate and the Eye of Odin. I was wondering where those were.
Yeah, they just kind of got lost to time, but...
Yeah, it's like, we went and checked my little artifact room one day, and they're all missing. I guess that's why Demona and Macbeth were really there. They weren't stealing cold stone; they were stealing these from me.
So is the Grimoire Macronom, is it gone?
I think so. I don't remember it ever coming back.
So is that more timey bullshit because it's in the future with Goliath and them, and then
they're not in the future. They're not. It's the year in Avalon is 1995. It's still 1995 in Avalon. It's just that island doesn't experience the passage of time.
So it's like an hour in the island is a day outside?
Yeah. So if you are on Avalon, a day outside passes, an hour inside passes. You're still in the same time. It's just kind of like you only like age an hour or whatever, or time only seems to pass for it. But if you leave Avalon, it's 1995. And if you go out for a day and come back, it'll be an hour later and there.
So they're running around doing their own thing right now. So when they go back to New York, is it going to be like days later?
From what I could tell, they spent a couple hours in Avalon. So if they spent let's say 5 hours in Avalon, if they went back to like New York immediately, it would have been 5 days later.
And then I was unclear at the last episode we watched. Mm-hmm. Are they still like basically just doing jaunts in and out of Avalon?
So what I assume is that you go to where you're going to go, then you go back to Avalon, then you go and then you go back to Avalon, and it's kind of like I think Avalon is the step each time, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
So Avalon is the Mr. Ravensloft,
essentially, from what I can tell, where you kind of you say your words like a little spell or whatever, and it takes you to Avalon, and then you kind of like leave, say the words again, and it like sends you where you need to go.
It's Stargate.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
I mean, that's what I remember anyway. I think it's kind of like you have to go back to Avalon first, but I'm not sure if they ever distinctly show that. Maybe they don't. Maybe that's just the way I kind of noodled it in my head.
No, I mean that's fine.
I don't know if it's the boat.
It's open for interpretation, but it seems like you travel through like the mists, and then you end up where it is you're supposed to end up.
And it's kind of like through any body of water. I think I remember they pulling some shenanigans with it. It's like they go into a pond and they're like, we're in a pond, where are we going to go? And that takes them to wherever Avalon is. I'm assuming England-ish latitude level.
Oh, it was where Arthur Pendragon was, so, it would have to be like in England.
So when I was a kid, for some reason, I watched it as a kid, and then years later when I'm thinking back to this show, I'm like, Arthur Pendragon, they must have gotten Patrick Stewart for that voice role, right? Mm-hmm. I went back to watch it like as an adult, and I'm like, I had this built up in my head that it was Patrick Stewart, and it would have made sense.
There's this whole theory, and I forget what exactly it's called, but it's like basically when they turned on the Large Hadron Collider, the reason that people are getting such Mandela effects is because we used to live in a world where these things used to be, and that now our world is collided with another timeline, so that's why we're getting people who remember certain things but not. Or
more likely, I'm dumb.
See, I think it's that too. But like they said one the other day that actually made sense to me. Mm-hmm. Like they did a lot of people think that Monopoly Man had a fucking monocle, but he's never had a monocle. No. But like, why did Ace Ventura throw the monocle on and be like, did not pass go? Did not collect $200?
That's probably where people are getting it from other places.
And that's where I'm equating it to.
They kind of like the No, I Am Your Father versus Luke, I Am Your Father. Because also in the movie with I don't think it's Tommy Boy, it's the other one, what's it called, Black Sheep, with
Chris Farley.
With Chris Farley, where he says it into a fan.
Yes.
It's like, Luke, I am your father, and that catches on in pop culture. And people are like, I remember that. Well, you remember you heard it. You heard it in fiction. It just didn't hear it where you think you heard it.
It's just amazing how many people think that it's one version over the other.
No, it's shared memory, and someone says a thing, and you kind of like hear it, and you're like, oh, that's what it was. Someone says Berenstain Bears, and you're like, oh, I remember the Berenstain Bears, and then later you're like, oh, it's Berenstain Bears, and you're like, no, it's not. For as long as I remember, it's been that way. It's at one point in time your memory got written over. We're not dealing with hard drives up here. We're dealing with electricity and meat. We're dumb.
I could not have said it better myself. Yep.
And you don't have perfect recall. Like when you remember a memory, the way you remember it is overriding the way it happened.
Yeah, you don't remember every detail of it, but if you try to go to a specific detail and you don't remember, your brain your mind builds that part.
You fill it in. And then you filling it in, like a year later, remember that little fill in that you did a year ago, you think that was part of the original story, so now you're filling it in again, and maybe you fill in a new detail, and the story just kind of keeps snowballing.
See, that's scary to me, because I forget what it's called, but it was that principle of the ship. If you change it plank by plank.
The ship Theseus.
Yeah, Theseus's ship. If you keep changing it by plank, is it still the same ship? Mm-hmm. So if a memory that I have where I forget parts of it, and then my brain rewrites in certain parts, like how accurate was the fucking memory to begin with?
Well, I think also to go with that is, I think it's after 7 years, maybe it's a little bit more than that. No atom in your body is the same as it was 7 years ago. Like slowly as you shed cells, take in like new material or whatever, you are changing, and who you were 7 years ago is literally made out of different things. Are you the same person?
It's fucking weird.
What happens if you took all those atoms that used to exist and coalesced it into a form that looked like you with your memories? Is that the real you because it's made of the stuff you were 7 years ago, or is it the you that lived through those 7 years? And
all I know is that I want to get rid of the atoms as we go through time, because like this atom for some reason likes to give me weird like leg fucking spasms, and these set of atoms also like me to like get out of bed in the morning and I yawn a weird way, so then my neck starts fucking hurting. Yeah. Like I'd rather have the atoms from like 20 years ago.
Yeah, you sleep wrong and therefore your shoulder is busted for a week.
Yeah, like my leg a week and a half ago, I got out of bed and I stretched, and like nothing happened. I didn't get like a weird pop, nothing. But then all of a sudden, like my leg stopped working, and I was like, okay, that's weird. Maybe it'll go away. And then it kept getting worse and worse and worse. It took me a week to get over that shit. Like, fuck this body. But yeah, getting back to the episode.
Yeah.
I liked watching the Megas beat the shit out of the Weird Sisters as owls. I thought that was good.
Yeah, we got to have a little bit of Megas fun with them, kind of just a little bits of power and then like collapsing.
Yeah,
doing the old storm.
Yeah, and Pendragon's like, that's my bed.
Don't die on my bed, please.
Please, can I have my bed? I have to stay awake now. Could you at least move over a little bit? Rose, could you move off the door a little bit so I can get back on?
Can I like spoon you?
Yeah, you can even be the big spoon. I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, I thought that was kind of weird that Arthur had nothing to say for that. Just be like, oh, I'm just awake now. You woke me up so I could beat the shit out of a fucking dude named Macbeth. Yep. And then that's it.
Yeah, like, well, that's it. He woke up. It's like, I woke up early, but you know what? I want to see what's going on.
Yeah, well, I thought it was weird that, they went to get him and he didn't play like a super big role.
No, he took care of Macbeth. Kind of Catherine and Lisa kind of took care of Demona, and then Angela and Goliath went to take care of the Archmage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for some reason the fucking Magus had to fight the Weird Sisters all by himself. Yeah. Like everyone had a buddy up system.
That's what are the other people going to do with the Weird Sisters? We've already seen that they're kind of really strong.
But still, it's like he just kind of pimped off by himself. Mm-hmm. And then they started beating the shit out of him. Like he has no book. Yeah. He's channeling through his body. He's asking the island for power so he can beat them.
He'd drawn his magics from the island itself. But there was some fun stuff in there, I think, like him turning this, like planting the staff and like using it to hold on as the wind was blowing, and then it turning into a tree. Then them zodding the tree in half.
Yeah, like that all that was really cool. And like I also liked the trials of the temple of the of the unknown king or whatever, the forgotten king. Yeah. Like I thought that was neat where it was like
animated armor starts coming up, and
and he was just like basically chill the fuck out, go back to sleep, and then they fell apart, and then the bridge breaking and the leap of faith to see that the bridge was. Yeah, like, I thought that was neat. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I forget the name of the guy who like takes control of the storyline for the show.
Greg Wiseman.
Let's go with that. We don't have to look it up.
I mean, it's also on the top of the comic over here.
Well, the dude definitely knows how to tell a cohesive and cogent storyline.
I don't know how much of each episode he writes or whatever, but yeah.
I don't know. I love his world. I think it's great. There's a reason these cartoons were like super popular back in the day, and I would love personally to see a reboot with him involved.
I mean, I think this is it in a way, but we'll see where that goes.
Well, it's like Final Space was a show I used to like watching, and then they ended the storyline before it was done. So I believe the creator of Final Space actually got someone to start doing graphic novels, so he could at least tell the last season of it.
That's even Buffy and Firefly continued on in comic form. Whether you really consider that part of the show or not is kind of your own thing, but he had stories to tell, and that was the medium in which he was able to tell them.
Yeah, it's odd, to me. But I bought Amber like a lot of the collected comic books, the graphic novels and stuff, so she can continue on the story if she so wishes.
For Buffy?
Yeah, but I think you get attached to the actor.
You do.
So, because I know she likes Nicholas Brendan.
Brendan.
Yeah, I know she likes him. I know she likes Giles.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the Avalon series was good.
Yep.
But should we move on
I think we can move on to Shadows from the Past, Shadows of the Past. No, my preposition's all screwed. Shadows of the Past.
Okay.
Which I think you gave a 9, I gave a 7?
I believe so.
Because I think, even at the end, because I came over a little early today so we could watch a movie. And you're wrapping these episodes up. And at the end of it, I watched this whole episode with you. And I think first thing you notice is that, Avalon was probably done by one studio. One animation studio, and this was done by a different one. Because this is like the great animation.
The most beautiful animation I've seen so far.
Yeah, there's other episodes that I think are by the studio that have similar-ish looks to them.
Sure,
but to the point where Goliath was raging and his hair was doing that episode.
Yeah,
had I think the same-ish studio.
And it wasn't like one cell of like a person like cruising like you actually saw them like moving and everything through every bit of the flight.
And I was also like when Goliath is climbing up the cliff after they just land and he like hops himself up, and then like Angela's carrying Elisa, and they both kind of like hop up to the top and do like a plant on the top and kind of hop off the back. It's very fluid motion that just looks great. It was gorgeous.
Like I loved every second of this episode, and I think I made a comment like as soon as it started. I was like, "Holy shit, the animation in this one is great." And I hope to see more of those because I have no idea who the studio was that did that episode, but good on you because it was great.
I don't know which episodes look better off the top of my head. I don't remember like this was the studio like this one was the studio. I just remember some of the episodes look amazing, some look okay, some look kind of weird.
No, you're 100% correct. And I really enjoyed this episode. I liked revisiting
Haken and the captain of the guard.
Yeah, like I liked revisiting their storylines and finding out, what happened with them, what was going on. The thing I've noticed about Goliath is he's like Rocky. You have to really kind of kick the shit out of him before he goes into psycho mode and then starts basically laying waste to stuff.
Well, I think in the beginning he was feeling guilty. It felt like he was being haunted by the gargoyles of the past. Like he let them die, and he didn't want to fight them back. It was only when they were kind of animating like the stone to make it look like some of the clan or whatever, and one of them looked like Demona, and he's like, "Wait, you didn't die." And he's like, "Oh, all of these aren't real."
Right.
So then he was more free to fight back because he's not fighting his ex-clan that he failed. He's fighting the people that are screwing with him.
Yeah, he started finally making his wisdom saves.
Yeah.
And disbelieving the illusions and stuff like that. But I did think it was interesting the poltergeist just completely fucking with him the entire episode.
And just him too. They were talking and only he was hearing it.
Yeah.
He was seeing Elisa and Angela as Hagen and the guard, but
yeah, and it was good having Clancy Brown back for an episode.
He'll be back again because he's also a wolf.
Oh, that's true. And then he's also trapped in the temple now in that episode. So who knows if we'll ever round on that again. But yeah, the animation was beautiful. I like Angela a lot. I made the comment in the episode. I was like, so I noticed that Angela is basically Demona with Goliath's coloration and some of his features and like hairline, and you were like, fucking duh. But I was just trying to make the point
They did good in her design to make her look so much like the two of them.
Yes.
That I think even as a kid, you're kind of like, is that a coincidence? I mean, you look at all the other ones, and like, there's a Triceratops lady, there's Gabriel, and there's like the beak-looking ones and stuff like that. Then you see Angela looks just like Goliath and Demona.
Mm-hmm. And you're just like, what combinations did they have going on in that rookery to make some of these people?
Yeah.
You know, like they had the guy that had like the finnies, so that might have been a Cold Stone thing. Maybe he was up in the mix there.
It's even Broadway's got like the fin ears,
right?
And like Lexington's got like the web wings, and Broadway's got the long nose. They all like where are these people's parents or these people's siblings or whatever?
They fucked off, I guess. I don't know. Laid a couple eggs and dipped.
Well, I guess their parents are dead, but you would think that there might be another set in the rookery or whatever that bears some sort of resemblance to them.
Yeah, like I always called them off-brand secondary gargoyles because even when like they had the mud gargoyles in this episode, there was the Kirkland brand,
the long nose one.
Yeah, there's the Kirkland brand Brooklyn. There was the Kirkland brand Broadway. Mm-hmm. It was kind of odd, but I did like the premise of the episode. I like that what they were trying to do, and of course. You have 3/4 of the episode of Goliath getting the shit kicked out of him, and then all of a sudden he catches wise and starts fucking shit up.
That's how I like that. He didn't win this one per se. He made a comment towards the captain of the guard about like honor or whatever, and he's like, you know what?
You're right. I fucked you over.
Yeah.
But like the thing that kept bothering me about the episode was they're like, you killed us. You were the betrayer, and it's like, no, you betrayed him, and then. You dumbasses got into a bickering fight on the edge of a cliff and fell to your deaths.
Goliath was pursuing him. It's kind of like if I'm running at you with a sword and you're at the edge of a cliff and you fall off the cliff, it's my fault. Even though you tripped and fell off the cliff and I was like, I'm going to stab the shit out of you. If you fall, it's still the person pointing the spear at you or whatever.
Well, I think Goliath got them to the edge of the cliff, and then it was like
he was pursuing them.
Yeah, you betrayed me, and he's like, "You're a liar!" And then like when the captain of the guard attacked Haken,
they both fell.
They both fell. I was like, you're the dumbasses that killed yourself. Yeah. I just got you over there. So it's not my fault.
Although to be fair, if Goliath got his hands on him, he would have killed him.
Oh, yeah, no. Totally.
He probably would have been something similar rather than, they tumbled. It would have been like, I got you. There you go. No, it's by my hand that you died.
I think he was going to rip him in half. But you can't have... I think he was going to do to them what he did to the Xanatos robot.
Yeah, okay. Or what Hulk did to Wolverine.
Yeah.
You know that comic, right? Where he... tears him in half and throws the top half. And then I think the comic is the top half crawling back to the bottom half.
He needs to get Deadpool fucking healing factor.
I wonder if he would recover from it, but he also wouldn't have his adamantine in his bones.
That's true. You can't grow that back.
Yeah, you need him to have his adamantine half, so he's got to go crawl to get it.
Well, so I was watching, I think it was a special edition they did of like the Deadpool where they had like Fred Savage. And he was like,
"Oh yeah."
He was like, "A lot of your shit doesn't make any sense." And he's like, "So if like somebody rips your head off, like, do you grow the body from the head, or does the body grow? Does the body grow the head, or does your head grow the body? And if that's the case, does it happen on both sides? And is there two of you? And then which one's the real you?" And he's like, "You're reading way too far into this, But I see where he's coming from because like the suit always comes back too.
So we talked about DBZ for the time travel bit. So now I'll talk about Cell. There is like one cell in Cell's body that is the alpha cell.
Okay.
And that whichever side of him has the alpha cell is the side that regrows.
And then the other side just dies?
Yeah. I don't know if that is true for Deadpool or some of the others either, but like this is here's the main cell, and if like you get tore here, you grow down. If you get tore here, you grow up. But I have a feeling they probably keep it to the one that's the side that's talking. It's like, is the head talking? Then the head will grow.
So is it a phylactery?
It kind of seems like it, doesn't it?
Like if I could figure out where the alpha cell in you and I like plucked it out of your body and destroyed it. Like that would be the way to take them out, right?
I don't think so. I think for Cell specifically, they had to obliterate literally every cell.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't know which one it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wonder if that's the case.
I don't know. If you know, put it down in the comments.
Yeah. Am I wrong? Maybe I might be thinking of the wrong thing too. I might be thinking of Deadpool, or I might be thinking of Cell. I don't know.
That sounds like something they would come up with on that show.
Sure, why not?
But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode just for the fact of I love the animation. Yeah. The storyline was interesting. I liked watching Goliath get haunted.
It was fun.
Yeah,
him running around and him being like a danger to others.
Yeah, like the only part that I had a problem with was him jacking up Angela and Elisa and slamming him into like the cliff wall. Mm-hmm. Elisa should have came apart.
Oh, it's a favorite. It looked like he grabbed the shirt or whatever.
Yeah, but then he goes bam and slams him. I see Angela. It's like in my mind, gargoyles are like. To put it in Rift terms, gargoyles are like they're like one MDC creatures, and everyone else is SDC creatures. And Elisa is totally an SDC creature. You know?
I don't know. There's plenty of wolf kicking Goliath and him going.
Sure. I don't know. It's just Elisa. Yeah. Like I could see where Wolf might be able to take like some damage, or Wolf might be able to put out some extra damage, but it's Elisa. She relies on her gun, and she relies on her brain.
I know she's able to hold off Demona sometimes, like even in Avalon when she's like holding her arms back and she's like going that little claw thing.
And I called bullshit on that too. Yeah, but like, and then even then, Demona was straight up flying in Avalon. Like there was, I know they said they glide or whatever, but like
it's I think depending on the studio, you get some inconsistencies. You also have like when she's flying up to the thing, and you just see arrows flying by her when they're literally like this far away from each other. It's like hit her, come on.
Yeah, and there was a shit ton of arrows too.
No, yeah, it's not like a whip. It's a
yeah, and again, Demona showed she doesn't give a fuck. She'll just kill anything because
she was mind controlled at least.
Yeah,
and it's that he started trying to appeal to her, like, "Hey, these are gargoyles," and he started coming out of it. And then Archmage was like, came up and it's like, "Come on, get to it. You're my creatures." And then I kind of took over.
Yeah, you're mine. I got control, and then she went right back to it. But like, if the mention of you're killing gargoyles is enough to make you go, and then you actually shoot a gargoyle, and they're like, "Ah!" I would feel like that'd be more of a jolt to take you out of it. So, still great episodes.
Yep.
I had a good time with them. I really like the Avalon movie.
Yeah, I mean...
Essentially.
You put them all together, they're like 66 minutes. So I guess it's more of like a castle episode or...
An OVA.
Yeah.
But like it was a good series, and then Shadows of the Past was great. I thought there was some good writing there. I'm not stoked about the idea that we're just going to have these four. I mean, I'm happy that Bronx is getting more camera time because Bronx is a good boy that deserves more camera time.
Yep.
But I just I like Lexington. He's my favorite character. I want to see more Lexington. I want to see more Hudson. He's my second favorite character. So, but that's neither here nor there. We'll cross those episodes when we get to them.
I'm also not 100% sure what's coming up next time. Because I wonder if this is where another IMDb discrepancy happens, and I don't think I have Disney Plus on my phone. Where IMDb says it's Heritage, Kingdom, Monsters, and Golem. But if you look at Kingdom, it's from 1996, whereas the other two around it are from 1995.
Interesting.
Which makes me think, because its air date is in February 96. The other ones are in November.
Yeah, those are in line.
Yeah, so are we going to see another discrepancy? I guess we'll find out. So we're watching the Disney Plus. 25, 26, 27, 28.
So I noticed they've got the 96 and 95 specifically underneath those episodes too to show you.
Yeah, I mean the IMDb shows the air date, and Kingdom is not until February, whereas the other ones, like if you look at Avalon, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd of November, and then you go like the next Monday or whatever would have been Heritage, followed by Monsters, followed by Golem, maybe, followed by Sanctuary. So maybe we'll get Sanctuary instead of Kingdom next time. I guess we'll have to wait a month to figure that out. But it's the next 5 or the next 4 on Disney Plus is where we're moving to next.
And we'll point it out. We'll let you know.
At least at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. So watch both of them. Watch Kingdom and Heritage.
What's that?
Just in case.
The last time I tried to open Disney Plus on my
it shit the bed.
It just crashed. I probably need to delete it and re-download it. Because I tried last time to pull it up and I didn't think about it. Because I want to give at least a more accurate idea of what we're going to watch next time. For the next 4 episodes on Disney Plus.
Just follow along with that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add, Nick?
I don't think so. I think we covered these ones well and good and proper.
Well, jalapeno.
Jalapeno, or as we said a couple times, yeet.
Yeah, you eat.
Yeah,
That was so good.
I think we had the same idea at the same time.
What? He's got eating powers?
No, it's just like he put like who did he put in the boat first? I think he put Demona and Macbeth. They said their whole thing, and then he went to the edge and just went, and we both went yeet.
Yeah, it's just the dude's a powerhouse.
There's not many modern words that I've glommed onto.
Yeet's fun.
Yeet's fun. It reminds me a lot of yoink, and I think that's probably why I like it. Because yoink was taking from someone else to you. Yeet is taking from you to somewhere else. It's the yoink, the yeek.
It's the circle of yoink, and it yeets us all. I guess I don't know. All right, on that.
Yes, I think we can wrap it up here. All right, bye everybody.
Sorry for the singing.